Well, hello again, and welcome to another episode of Petar's Place. And this one, I'm going to try to wrap up the video set I was doing with the Macintosh 512K, with the two ancient hard drives, and the Mac phone attached to it. And I wanted to kind of go over the Mac phone itself a little bit and show you a little bit about what it is and uh, why it was so cool. All right, so first off, um, the Mac phone as itself here is kind of interesting. It was basically probably one of the very first um, peripherals for the Mac, original Mac and Mac 128 when it came out. And it does work on a Mac 128 system. So I was lucky enough to find on an eBay auction several years ago the box, the internal packaging as far as just the cardboard that supports it, and the actual device itself for a decent price, but never had the software. And then spent about, I don't know, 8 years or so waiting around and asking various places, um, have you seen this software? It wasn't on Macintosh Garden or Repository or Asimov or anything like that. Then one day, out of the blue, I think based off of a comment I made on one of the VC Fed forum group postings looking for it, that the brother of the guy who created the software for this product actually had a copy of the disk from his brother, and he was willing to image it and send me a copy. And then in the meantime, between then and now, it looks like that same disk image, or at least a similar one, has already ended up on Macintosh Garden. So that's pretty cool. My unit, as I'll show shortly, has some use behind it. So it looked like it was actually used for something at one point in time. And I'll show you a little bit about that too. But first off, we got the Mac phone box, and as it says up here, it's for Macintosh lovers only. It's the Telemanagement System Model TMS 1000. And at least on the box, it's showing on the left-hand side of the Mac 128. But it just looks a little better to me on the right-hand side with the way my setup was currently set up. And that's what I'm currently have today. And as you can see on my particular unit, it has used on someone's desk at one point in time, since it actually shows, different population keys, I guess, or pop keys, whatever, for, I guess that's maybe, oh, that was for the Macintosh pop keys, the macro editor. And I think that's what that'll actually set up. But then it also has a nice little fax number up here, someone put on there, so you can talk the fax. But again, it's just a standard 80s style. This would be 1984 and 1985. Basically, it's just a corded telephone. It has the hook flash on the bottom, and then it just mounts to the inner pane over here, kind of like the old wall phones used to do. Actually, exactly like the old wall phones used to do. On the side of the box here, I have a little bit of information there too, talk about its different features and how you can dial and you can set things up for billing. And basically, back when we had to pay for long distance and things, how to set up billing per minute for long distance calls. And you can also have charges for consultation, which is kind of neat. I'll show that in the software a little bit too. There's the back of the box there, some different screens, and those will show up. And again, some of the other features listed explicitly on the other side of the box here, containing like telephone call logging, which is basically you do a manual start and stop. So I'm not sure how great a feature that was, but I'm sure it was for somebody. The electronic calendar, you could click on the day and add your notes and things. The executive diary, so you could actually add different events and different notes and things. You have a telephone directory, and then a quick dialer. You can double click and it'll dial out. And then the memo pad feature. But that's essentially all this was. It's just a piece of what we normally have, a office desk software today, combined with just a telephone. And the way this particular device works is, I'll see if I can get underneath here a little bit. Yeah, so there's a silver cord on the left, which is actually terminates into an 1/8" mono jack that plugs into the back of the Macintosh on the basically the speaker output. And then the leftmost line over here, this is going to be the line cord position, and that goes to your telephone line from the in the old days, from your standard wall jack, telephone wall. But in today's world, I have it actually terminating down way in here on my floor. I have an Obihai OB200 device that gets me out to Google Voice. And that's what I'll be using today to show what's going on. Over here on the right hand port on it, and there's only the 2 ports on this particular device, is what goes to the line cord for the handset cord for the phone. And it's not mentioned, well, I don't have the manual for this, so maybe it's mentioned there, but it's not marked on this particular device at all where to put anything. And if you reverse the cords, you'll basically hear the dialing out through the speakerphone when it's not supposed to. In my particular unit here, it also suffered from a very bad electronic relay, and that relay kicks in for when you lift up the handset, and it redirects the speaker, the Macintosh speaker, onto the phone line itself, so it can actually do tone dialing through that mechanism. And the relay itself appeared to rust a little bit, and ceased working until I used some sandpaper and some contact cleaner and got that all working again. And literally, it's the circuit board. It lives down here on the back side of it on a metal plate, and it's essentially just the relay, a telephone line transformer, and a speaker, which outputs the Macintosh speaker sound on the side there instead of going through the Mac, because that gets redirected because you're connected into the speaker port. So that's pretty much all there is to it. I'm going to see if I can fire this thing up, and I'll get a better view here for everybody here as soon as this gets going. So let's fire up the HD20. The HD20 has to come up first because it's the boot volume that I use. And then the Mac 20 will come online right after power is applied to the Mac itself. So once the HD20 gets done here, yep, looks like it's done, and I'll turn the Mac on. Try and get a better view here. Yeah, I might have to hold it manually. It takes a little while to get through the 4 megs of additional RAM on the Mac Rescue board to finally come up, but it'll boot off the HD20 here in a second. And the image really does look much better in person than it does on the camera. Well, that's not too bad with the polarizing filter on it. But with the way the reflections work in here, that's maybe not going to show so great. But now we'll get the idea. Okay, so let's go into the Mac Phone software. And one thing I noticed that in order to run the Mac Phone software, you cannot run out of multi-finder mode, so you can only run in standard finder mode. So we'll go into Mac Phone 1, this version. And then there's the dialer for it. I'll launch that up. This is loading off the HD20, so it's kind of like at floppy speed. Or technically, what I learned recently, it's actually at 2x floppy speed, since the HD20 is using burst mode on the IWM controller of the Mac. So that's a neat little bit of trivia, which explains why it does seem a little faster. All right, So we'll see how steady I can hold this. So as we can see, it has a dial pad. It'll tell you what the numbers are up here. You can do start and stop for like when you start a call and whatnot. And then you stop, it'll update the times, how long it took. So here is billing for 2 seconds. And you can type in notes down here and say whatever it is you want to save there, and it'll save those for your notes. All right, let's close those back out. You can go use a phone book. And I've got a few different things in here. The Jackie joke line, which was Jackie Martling. He's had a joke line for the last, I don't know, 35, 40 years practically, and updates it once a week, but can't really give too many of those out on the air since he's mostly a blue joke teller. David Sell. This was the entry that was actually in the software that was sent to me. It is not, from what I can tell, on the Macintosh Garden list. So whenever this was done, someone tried it, and that was his cell phone number. I don't know. Give him a call, see if he's still there. Maybe not. I also have the Americans with Disability Act phone number, which I will most likely be the one I'm using for the example here. If we can pick up the audio at all off the phone, off the microphone, because it takes about 5 minutes to hit any human anytime at all. So there's lots of voice prompt and stuff like that. But for this one, I set up the telephone number. It's on the menu bar, which is what this shows up here for, so you have quick links. And then you can set up billing rates. So in this case, I said 1 cent a minute, and for the first minute, 1 cent after. And then you can do stuff down here where you can say, I want to, anytime I'm calling this number, I can say I'm charging $30 an hour for consultation. So maybe we can do that, and then it'll figure out, the connect times and consultation charges and whatnot. So let's also say show consultation charges too. We'll save that. That'll go in there. And then what you end up doing is if you want to dial from there, you can dial from up here and say ADA information line. It'll pop up. And then it'll dial. This time I missed it. I don't know if you can hear it in the microphone, but I'll try it again. This is where I get a little. Now normally it'll say pick up. It'll say online instead of online here. Right there. Instead of saying online, it'll say pick up the phone when you do the dial. There it goes. So I'm not sure if you can hear any of that, but it actually dialed out and it made the call over the Google Voice line. It's saying voices, stuff like that. So anyhow, let's hang up. And then we can say, let's stop. And then, okay, so billing, so it's saying 34 cents. So I had it set for 30 cents a minute, I guess, or something. So that's how that works. Then you can also add time here too, and consultation time. So that's the consultation time it's set for it. Oh, okay. So that's doing it by the billing by the second at your consultation rate. So that's kind of cool. Just figure that out. You can also basically just, pick up the phone too, and you can, dial your numbers. Yep. And then over there, there's my phone dialed out, came back in. So it actually does work. This is it's just a simple phone at that point, but you basically end up, you can look up area codes, You can set your tone faster or slower, and it's just a delay on the output. You can tell it to also beep while you're calling. It'll get like every minute it'll do a little beep tone out the speaker, the Mac speaker. It'll beep on the hour if you wanted to set up to, depending on how you want to do that. Call logging, and then you can actually output those and you can print them out later. There it goes. Sorry for this, but yeah, I'll try to hold this as close as I can and keep it going. But it's a neat little product. Not a whole lot much more to say about it. It's very, very simple, and it's one of those deals where it just works. One of the interesting pieces I found about this is the fact that it's small, works on the 128K original Mac, even on 128K on the original OSs. It just does what it's supposed to do. But at the time of its release, I believe I saw the price range, I think was $279, and that was $1984, I believe. Let me put this back over and I can show you how old this software really is. Let me get the transition. There we go. And put up here, and if you go underneath here under edit, if you can see that with the blank, the Mac Dialer version was at BDD 16 as of September 16th, 1984. And that's from Williamsoft. And yeah, so the original Mac was released right around there as well. So this was probably some of the very first software for the Mac, as well as the first hardware peripherals for the Mac as well. And I just thought it was pretty cool that I was able to at least get it up and running finally and show it off to you. And let me put this over here one more time. I'll do one more little flyby here so you can see the different pieces, parts. There's the phone itself. And then say back to the software. All right. Well, thank you for stopping by this particular episode, and I hope to do a few more different things with the various Macintoshes that I'm currently rebuilding, as well as a slew of Apple II projects coming up. My next little project on the bench will most likely now be to show off the A2 Stream software on an Apple II. I just finished building a little Ubuntu server VM to host the streaming with MPlayer for that, and I just need to make desk space. So I will see you next time. Thank you very much, everybody.